Hey, today we are going to be talking about creepy Qyburn. It's a bit dark because I thought the light was working. It did turn on initially, but it's broken apparently. Turn itself off. Say nope, I don't want to know. We're going into the darkness, talking about Qyburn. Now, he is a former Maester of the Citadel. He got his chain taken away from him for good reason. He was not abiding by their rules, but we'll get there. Now, when we meet him in the story, he is a member of the Brave Companions, which is a sellsword company brought over from Essos to Westeros by Tywin Lannister during the war. And, it's not got a good reputation. It's led by Vargo Hoat, the goat, not a goat in today's terms. It's got members like Zolo, Pig, Timian, Shagwell, some very nasty people, and Urswick. And, so we meet him in the story. And interestingly, I've just noticed here, in the description of him, he's described as tall, slightly stooped with crinkles around his blue or warm. And it's got a hyperlink linking to Cersei's chapter, brown eyes, which links to number 6, Jaime chapter. So does his eyes change between Jaime and Cersei, or is that a mistake by George R. Martin? I don't know. Anyway, we're going to breeze past that, if that's a theory out there. I don't know, this is not one I've heard of. But yeah, he has grey hair, a lean frame, and looks fatherly. In the show, he is played by Anton Lesser, and yeah, I'd say he looks quite fatherly and friendly in the face. But obviously, the way they make him up and his hair is all swept back, it looks creepy. His torn robes are frayed and poorly sewn, and he lacks a maester's chain, because it got taken away from him. Qyburn is clever and loyal, but also immoral and ingratiating. Qyburn studied at the Citadel and was as skilled a healer as Ebros. However, he sought to surpass the Archmaester, and instead of opening dead bodies to discover the secrets of the living as the Citadel has done for centuries, Qyburn opened living bodies to discover the secrets of death. When these unethical experiments, as well as his studies of necromancy, were discovered, Qyburn was stripped of his chain and his position as a maester. Nevertheless, he claims to understand the nature of life and death better than any man in Old Town. Following his exile from Old Town, Qyburn joined the Brave Companions. He has respect for Marwyn of the Citadel, the only Archmaester who liked Qyburn's way of thinking about the residue of souls after death, but he calls the other Archmaesters grey sheep. So Qyburn he's already a little bit out there, like Marwyn is, has some strange beliefs. We don't know if Marwyn ever opening up dead bodies, but Qyburn certainly did. When we meet him in A Clash of Kings, he's among the Brave Companions when they arrive at Harrenhal. After the sellswords turn cloak through the fall of Harrenhal, Qyburn takes over the duties of Harrenhal's maester, Tothmere, who was killed. What, Tothmere? Tothmere? How did I fucking miss Tothmere as one of the people working in the Riverlands? Damn it. We'll do an honorary thing for him at the end of the video. So, Qyburn takes over the duties of Harrenhal's maester, Tothmere, who was killed by Lord Roose Bolton for dispatching ravens to King's Landing. Arya hears rumours that Qyburn lost his maester's chain for necromancy. In A Storm of Swords, when Sir Jaime Lannister has his sword hand cut off on the orders of Vargo Hoat and is brought to Harrenhal, Roose orders Jaime to be treated by Qyburn. The former maester treats Jaime's infected wrist and is able to prevent the infection from spreading to Jaime's arm, thereby ensuring Jaime does not lose his whole arm. When he feels Jaime is sufficiently healed, Qyburn sends Pia to Jaime's bed, hoping to ingratiate himself with the Lannisters, but Jaime sends the girl away. Qyburn, I think that might be taking a liberty. And also, poor Pia. When Roose sends Jaime back to his father, Lord Tywin Lannister, Qyburn accompanies Still Shags Walton's guards and monitors Jaime's wounds. According to Roose Bolton, Qyburn has a fond hope that Tywin will force the Citadel to return Qyburn's maester's chain to him. You know, I helped your son. can you give him a... Well, I was going to say give him a ring. Give him a little message and I'll write it for you. I'll even send it. On the road, Qyburn tells Jaime he examined Brienna's Tarth for Varga Hout and found her maidenhead is still intact. We'll brush past that. When Jaime decides to return to Harrenhal to rescue Brienne after dreaming of her, Qyburn and the Bolton men accompany him. Qyburn tries to ingratiate himself with Jaime during the remainder of their journey to King's Landing, which irritates the knight. He's obviously like, look, can you tell your dad that I did this for you? Just put in a good word. I need that bling back. Thank you. In a feast of crows, Qyburn joins the court at King's Landing. When Queen Regent Cersei Lannister calls for a maester to deal with the discovery of her father Tywin's body, Qyburn is brought to her. The Queen has Qyburn and the Kettleblack brothers dispose of Shay's body. Qyburn's intelligence and discretions pleases Cersei, so she has him investigate the escape of Tyrion Lannister from the dungeons. Qyburn researches the missing jailer Rugen, who also disappeared that night, and discovers a gold coin depicting Garth Gardner, King of the Reach, buried below Rugen's chamber pot. This leads Cersei to suspect the involvement of House Tyrell in Tyrion's escape. On Cersei's command, Qyburn also examines the dying Sir Gregor Clegane, whom Grand Maester Pycelle has been unable to heal. He believes Prince Oberyn Martell used magic to affect the manticore venom on his poisoned spear, to prolong Gregor's death. Qyburn convinces Cersei to allow him to move Gregor to the Black Cells and experiment on him there, to gain knowledge of the magical poison that Oberyn used. She orders that Qyburn be given gold for his equipment and to buy new clothing, because he's got to look the part. Jaime is disturbed, and also she doesn't want to smell that. Jaime is disturbed by how close Cersei has become with the disgraced former maester, but she dismisses his concerns, because she's got someone that is doing as she says, which is just what Cersei wants. In fact, he's there when she needs someone to deal with the bodies. He's just conveniently there. Qyburn, who brought Qyburn to her? Anyway, Cersei appoints Qyburn as Master of Whispers to replace Varys, who has been missing since Tyrion's escape. Subsequently, Qyburn takes Varys' place on the small council, as well as the honorary title of Lord, to the disgust of Grand Maester Pycelle. He's like, the Citadel would be most displeased that you've got this guy here. I must let them know. Qyburn spends silver to develop a network of informants. Instead of a maester's grey robes, Qyburn attires himself in white robes decorated with whorls of gold and a golden sash. Fancy. Wants to look magical, very wizardy. Qyburn suggests that the Crown deal with Jon Snow, the new Lord Commander of the Night's Watch, by sending 100 men to the wall, ostensibly to take the Black, but in actuality to assassinate him. After Gregor Clegane reportedly dies, Qyburn prepares his skull to be sent to Dorne. Cersei allows Qyburn various prisoners to experiment on, and much of them probably have a fatal end. I don't know if anyone has survived. Will we find out? I don't know. But he also prefers women to experiment on, and at one point he describes them as they're exhausted, and I don't know if that means they're tired or dead. But Cersei also hears foul things screaming in the darkness, but she still gives him prisoners, which include her former handmaiden, Sanel, and some female puppeteers who had been arrested for performing a treasonous play. And when Lady Felice Stokeworth comes to Cersei in despair after the failure of their plans to kill Bronn, who had married her sister, Lolis, Cersei tells Qyburn to take her for his experiments and to make her disappear, because she's like, I ain't seen these people again. A real girl's girl, isn't she? While performing his experiments and torture in the dungeons, Qyburn wears rough spun wool and a blacksmith's leather apron, which feels very Silent Hill. Like, ugh. After Sir Loras leaves for the Siege of Dragonstone, Qyburn suggests to Cersei that the Kingsguard may need a replacement in case Loras dies, and mentions a champion who no living man will be able to withstand. Qyburn orders a massive suit of armour for his proposed champion, though it is supposedly too large and heavy to be worn by any man. There's only one man in the Seven Kingdoms who is that large, and he goes by the name The Mountain, aka Gregor Clegane. Cersei has a nightmare about Maggie the Frog's prophecy of her future, and the next morning asks Qyburn about it. He identifies the name Maggie as the corruption of Magi, and says that her blood magic is the darkest and most powerful kind of sorcery. Cersei asks if the prophecy can be forestalled, and Qyburn intimates it can be, if she kills the younger queen who would supplant her. It's interesting that him and Marwyn are aligned in a lot of things, but Marwyn is like, prophecy? Oh, it'll bite your dick off. And Qyburn is like, yes, prophecy. Maybe you gotta do something. What's with that? Cersei has Qyburn torture the Blue Bard in the Black Cells to convince him to give evidence against Queen Margaery Tyrell. The torture so breaks his mind that even after the Blue Bard is taken by the Faith militants and tortured by them, he persists in the story that Cersei and Qyburn had taught him. Other men falsely accused of being Margaery's lovers are given into Qyburn's care in the dungeons. Care. After Cersei is arrested by the Faith, Qyburn is allowed to visit her in a cell and inform her of all that's happened since her arrest. Qyburn has been dismissed from the small council, though he is allowed to work with Varys' whisperers. Qyburn's unnamed champion is ready to defend her, but Cersei informs Qyburn that she can only be represented in a trial by combat by a knight of the Kingsguard, and there are no open positions available. Cersei has him write a letter to her brother Jaime at Riverrun, begging for its help, which is the one we discussed last time when Vyman, is it, goes and reads the letter. Anyway, in A Dance with Dragons, Lord Regent Kevan Lannister visits Cersei in her cell and tells her that Qyburn is still in charge of the dungeons where most of the accused lovers of Margaery Tyrell are being held. Kevan also informs her that Sir Aerys Oakheart has been killed in Dorne, and Cersei realises that leaves an empty place in the Kingsguard. She asks Kevan to tell Qyburn the time has come for his champion. Qyburn is present at the Red Keep when Cersei completes her walk of atonement through King's Landing, and he introduces Cersei to her new champion and the newest member of the Kingsguard, Sir Robert Strong. Qyburn tells her that Robert has taken a vow of silence, swearing not to speak until all of King Tommen Baratheon's enemies are dead and evil has been driven from the realm. That's a big task. It's going to be a long time. Qyburn continues to work with the Whisperers, reporting information on the Golden Company and Nymeria Sand to the Small Council and Kevan. At the end of A Dance with Dragons, he's still lawyering around the Red Keep. Robert Strong's there. Cersei is back there. She's under surveillance from the Sept, but yeah, things are going to kick off in the next book, and I want to see how he makes himself useful. I also want to know some of these theories we've got on what has he done? What does he do to these people? Oh my god. Should we have a little look at some of the quotes from him if we've got anything interesting? I think there's definitely one about ghosts. You know, he was talking, we talked earlier about Marwyn liking his opinion on the residue of the soul. And Jaime asks him, "Do you believe in ghosts, Maester?" Qyburn replies, "Once, at the Citadel, I came into an empty room and saw an empty chair, yet I knew a woman had been there only a moment before. The cushion was dented where she'd sat, the cloth was still warm, and her scent lingered in the air. If we leave our smells behind us when we leave a room, Surely something of our souls must remain when we leave this life. The Archmaesters did not like my thinking, though. Well, Marwyn did, but he was the only one. On losing his chain, he told Cersei that the Citadel took my chain, but they could not take my knowledge. It's true. Oh, shout out to me dad, who just called, so I had to stop recording. Love you. Let's talk about some of these theories on Qyburn and his goings-on. So, the skull that he sends to Dorne. Now, if Robert Strong is Gregor Clegane, which it must be, like, how can... Unless you're building a fucking Frankenstein of other body parts, which you'll probably need other massive people, it's Gregor Clegane. Come on. And, the skull that he sends to Dorne, claiming is Gregor's, is probably one of the dwarves that has been killed when Cersei's like, "Get me Tyrion's head!" A lot of dwarves come to King's Landing, people capturing them, thinking that they're Tyrion, and they're not. These poor people, one of their heads has been sent to Dorne. Also, Bran has a green dream when he's in a coma, when he first falls. And he's dreaming while flying with the three-eyed crow. And he says there were shadows all around them. One shadow was dark as ash, with a terrible face of a hound. Another was armoured like the sun, golden and beautiful. Over them loomed a giant in armour made of stone. But when he opened his visor, there was nothing inside but darkness and thick black blood. Which, with the poison that Oberyn used on Gregor, his blood is truly congealed. It is thick black blood. He must be the giant in armor made of stone, because that rigor mortis, how is he, I don't know. Magic. Anyway, I was thinking, how is he able to move his joints? But yeah, when he opens his visor, there's nothing inside but darkness and thick black blood, which is very symbolic that must be Gregor. The one that shadow is dark as ash with the terrible face of the hound. Sounds like the hound. Could be, might not be. Who do you think it is if it's not? Another was armoured like the sun, golden and beautiful, which sounds like Jaime Lannister. So are we going to get Jaime versus the hound and then Robert Strong coming in? I mean, if things go... This is so basic of a thought. I feel like there's much better theories on this out there, so please tell me yours. But it feels like if it goes the way the show did, and Cersei's in the Red Keep with Gregor protecting her, Jaime must be there fighting on her behalf, and maybe the Hound is there on Arya's behalf or on his own behalf. Who knows? We're going to get some kind of duel in the story. This must be, I'm trying to think of how this builds up in the grand scheme of things, and, why would it be important that Bran is having a dream about it? Also, what is going on with him experimenting on all these females? Because he seems to be doing that a lot more furiously than with the male subjects. They're still some spare, but with the women, they're exhausted. I hope to God he's not letting Robert Strong near them. He's clearly been able to reanimate a male corpse. We don't know that he has with the female one yet. It seems much more of a personal endeavour than anything that could be of use to Cersei. But she's like, oh, he's useful, let him carry on. I don't think he's very political. I think he has no way of otherwise getting the resources to do the experiments he wants to do. And with having the resource of the crown, he has reanimated Gregor Clegane. Clegane, how do you say it? Let me know. We don't know anything about his history. He could have been in Essos for a very long time. He could have been as far as Asshai. He could have had a lover that died and he wants to reanimate. Maybe he's just very lonely. What are your thoughts on it? Do you have any theories? Let me know. Also, if you have any video suggestions, let me know. We're going to carry on with the Maesters and things, and we're reading A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. We might do a creepiest characters in Game of Thrones or something. But if you have any suggestions for other things, any topics you want delved into, let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, leave me a comment, tell me how your day's going. I've bashed my elbow on the table, so say, ow, elbow, don't say that. And I'll see you next time, okay? Cheerio. An honorary inclusion of Maester Todric, who I forgot in the Riverlands, in A Clash of Kings. When Tywin has taken over Harrenhal, he's got 3 Maesters in his service, and Todric is one of them. It's unclear, though, if Todric is just accompanying Tywin's army, or if he is the castle's maester under the former Lady of Harrenhal, Shella Went. He is there when Stannis Baratheon is sending out those letters saying that Cersei and Robert's children are illegitimate, which the maester takes to Tywin. He tells him to burn the letter and never speak of it again, because, of course, he doesn't want to hear those nasty rumours about his children. Arya Stark overhears Todrick's serving girl tell her brother about the letter. And because Todrick sends ravens to King's Landing and Casterly Rock when Harrenhal is falling to the Northmen, which is Lord Roose Bolton, he is caught, executed, and his head put on a pike. Now, one of the thoughts we have that features Todrick is of Arya Stark, and it's also kind of interesting to think of in the lines of what would Qyburn make of it. Do the ravens remember Maester Todric? Arya wondered. Are they sad for him? When they quirk at him, did they wonder why he doesn't answer? Perhaps the dead could speak to them in some secret tongue the living could not hear. Well, I think Bran would have some thoughts on that as well, actually. What do you think? Let me know. I'll see you next time. Cheerio!